Peace, brothers and sisters. Welcome to another episode of Doran Cooks. I'm your host, Chef Doran and today we're going to be making macaroni and cheese. Now, when it comes to macaroni and cheese, there's so many different ways to make it. You know, when you go to the South, you know, they like to bake macaroni pie. If you go to a fine dining restaurant, they like to make a bechamel and then slightly bake it in the oven. I've had the pleasure of making many different macaroni and cheeses in my career, and it has taught me a way to make my own. So today we're going to get into how to make the macaroni first off, and then we're going to make the sauce for the macaroni and cheese and bring the dish together. Alright, so your equipment that you're going to need a French rolling pin. You're going to need a dough cutter, a pizza cutter, a cake tester, a brush, and a stick. If you have like a wire stick, it works, but for me, I'm going to use one of the sticks from my pasta rack. We're also going to need a side of semolina flour and a side of all-purpose flour. The all-purpose flour you probably won't need. It depends on how you make your dough. Now, of course, we're going to need the dough. If you've seen my first recipe, then you should know how to make the dough by now. So if not, then just refer back to that recipe. Right now, we already have a dough made. And last but not least, this is going to save you a lot of time. You definitely need to invest in a pasta roller. You can pick up a basic hand-cranked pasta roller up on Amazon. I bought a Shoal, very basic, but I also bought a motor attachment, and that's really gonna make your job a lot simpler, okay? So we're gonna go get into it. So this is my pasta dough. And first we're going to just cut a little piece to work with. And we're going to wrap up the rest so that it doesn't dry out. And now to start, we're just going to get a nice coating of semolina flour on it. And then we're going to roll it out. Alright, now this pasta roller has 7 settings, so the thickest setting we're going to start off with, and I'm going to roll it through once, fold it into thirds, and then I'm going to repeat that step 3 more times, okay? Take it, and you're going to fold it into thirds. And then I'm going to turn it around, and then roll it from the center outward in both directions. Now I see people rolling like this. You don't want to do that. You want to make sure that you have a nice consistency throughout it. So you're going to roll it from the center in both directions. Then I'm going to run it. You want it to be a rectangle once it's actually finished, because you're going to see exactly how I make the macaronis. So we're on the last setting now. And there it is. That should be enough. I'm going to make sure that I have enough semolina. Alright, now pay attention very quickly, because this is going to be pivotal in how your macaronis come out. And this is why we have our dough cutter. Going to take it and just gently lift the pasta over the stick. Remember, this is very delicate, so you want to be as gentle as possible. Once you have it, you're going to roll the stick back and make sure that you kind of have it tight. The dough should be sticky enough that it sticks to the actual stick, but not so much that you can't get it off it. Yourself, you're going to use your pizza cutter, and you're going to gently cut just along that line. Then you're going to roll it onto itself again, pull it away. Now at this point, you're just going to gently roll it, because what you want to do is you want to seal it. And this definitely helps if you have warmth in your kitchen, if there's a high humidity in your kitchen, because it's going to keep the dough warm and it's going to allow the dough to stick onto itself. So that's pretty much what your product should look like. Then now we're just gonna put this onto a tray with some parchment paper and place it in the freezer for about 10-15 minutes. Alright, so I've just taken my pasta out of the freezer about 15-20 minutes later. Alright, so now they should be hard, but still easy to work with. So now this is what we're going to do. Since they're frozen, we're just going to gently kind of twist each part of it. You want to make sure you don't do it too much because you don't want to crack it. Now, depending on how your freezer is, you might have to leave it in there just a little bit more. Then it comes right out. Alright? And then this is what you're going to get your pizza cutter for. Cut off that end. And then you're just going to do about 1/2 to 1/4 of an inch. Cut them out. Okay. Just brush all that semolina away. And then this is what your cake tester is for. By the cuts, you're going to make sure that you kind of stick the cake tester in there and open up those holes. Alright? Now remember, you're also going to be gentle with this. And this is exactly what you got to actually work a little quickly with this, because it actually, if it's warm in here, it's going to defrost rather quickly. Now you need that warmth for earlier when you're actually rolling out the pasta onto the stick, but when you're actually cutting the pasta, this is the part where you have to work quickest. And the thing about macaroni is you want to get that hole in the middle. Alright, now obviously the more sticks that you have, the more macaroni you can make at once. This is very time consuming, but the thing I like about this is that this is a project that gets the whole family involved. You can have the kids gather around and everyone pick up a stick and just work with it. Everyone makes macaroni together. You can't beat the outcome. It's definitely better than the box stuff, but I can understand if you're out of time and you want to use the box pasta, that works fine as well. Me, I like to make things from scratch. Alright, now we've just finished taking our macaroni out of the oven. We've dehydrated it for about an hour, and check that out. Now this is not like elbow macaroni. I haven't been able to get the bend without it looking weird. Obviously a machine does that. I don't know how they used to do it, but this is about as good as I can get it. Hey, if you can do better, if you can figure out how to get that elbow bend, then please educate me, let me know. Leave a link in the description or leave your comments, and yeah, please get back to me on that. But for now, that is our macaroni, and the next step, we are now going to make the sauce, and then we'll cook the macaroni. It only takes about a minute with fresh pasta doughs typically. So yeah, we'll move on to the sauce now. Alright, so now that we've learned how to make macaroni from scratch, now we're going to move on to the next process, which is the cheese sauce, to help it bring it together and make macaroni and cheese. The most traditional way is we'll use bechamel, which is pretty much a milk that's thickened with roux, which is equal parts flour and butter. And then we add cheese to it at the end, and it's now called the Mornay sauce, and that's the base for our macaroni and cheese. Today I'm going to be doing it a little different. I've come up with a sauce that doesn't include any kind of flour in it. It's just mostly cheese, but it's still liquid enough that it has that consistency, and it just creates a finished creamy product. So to start off, we're going to choose the cheeses. Now the quality of the cheeses definitely matter. You can use whatever you want, but just make sure that you're getting it from a very good supplier. So I have some Fontina cheese, I have some feta cheese, I have some cream cheese, I have some wasabi horseradish cheese, and then I also have some Boursin cheese. Boursin is its own brand. It's a very delicious blend. It has garlic and herbs in it. I love it. It's very good cheese to finish off for anything. So now we're just going to start grating it. Alright, so now that we have our cheeses picked out, to make it easier on yourself, I would recommend that you get a metal bowl and a cheese grater and make sure that you have them chilled in the freezer beforehand. This will ensure that when you're grating your cheese, it just comes out so much easier. So first, I'll start off with my fontina. It's alright if you don't get it perfect, you know, because it's all going to be melted anyway. We're going to melt this down very slowly, but you just want to make sure that each piece is small enough that it melts quicker. You know, if you're putting big chunks of it in the pot, it's going to take a lot longer, obviously. Now, obviously, I don't gotta grade the Parmesan or the cream cheese because those are already creamy. So I'm just going to leave those as is. They'll melt just on their own when I put that in the pot. But for the harder cheeses, I'm gonna break that down. Alright, so now that we have our cheeses done, I'm just gonna add that cream cheese to that and the Parmesan, and then we're ready to break it down. Alright, so next, now that we have our oven preheated to 305 degrees, we're going to make our Parmesan Crisp. We have our Parmesan and we have our coconut flakes. Now, it doesn't really matter how much, just remember, you want to use half as much coconut flakes as you do Parmesan. So again, it's very essential that you use a scale. This is something that you are going to need a lot of in the kitchen, especially if you're doing baked goods. Also, you want to have a Vitamix. There's many different mixers, but Vitapreps and Vitamix are standard in the industry. These are just amazing machines. You can pick one up on the website or through Amazon even. We're also going to need a bowl, and we're going to need a sheet pan with a silk pad on it for baking. So first we're going to put our Parmesan into our Vitamix, and it's going to be cubed. And we don't want to blitz it into a powder, but we want to get it fine enough. So check it out, I'll give it to you. Alright. Now if you notice, it's into nice little bits, not really a powder, but it's still like kind of coarse a little bit, and that's really what we want. Make sure that I get a little bit of that out. The rest of that. Okay. We're gonna put that to the side. Next, we're gonna do the same thing with the coconut flakes. Coconut flakes you might want to do a little bit finer. Smoky. Alright, then we're going to pour our coconut flakes into there. Okay. And again, you can use a spatula for this. Well, you know me, I like to use my hands a lot. And you know, when you're cooking at home, you know, you cook however you want to. Once you incorporate that, now at this stage you can add black pepper, you can add some paprika if you want. You can add pretty much whatever flavoring you want, but for now we're just going to keep it as is. and I'm just going to dump it gently onto the silk pad. And then you're just gonna kind of shake it so that it kind of evens out. And now you want to kind of get this evenly thin. You don't want to have any kind of cracks or any kind of openings in it, but you want to spread this out nice enough. Because as this bakes, it's going to look golden brown, it's going to look beautiful. Okay. And then you're ready to put it in the oven. We're going to put this in the oven for about 10 to 15 minutes. Alright, now we have our beautiful macaroni cooked. We have our cheese sauce. There's never any such thing as too much cheese. And I'm just gonna toss it. I'm just gonna let that sit for a minute. Add a touch more. Now we're gonna plate our macaroni. Then we have our fresh parsley. A little bit of cheese first. Parsley, and then we got that beautiful Parmesan Crisp. And there you have it. Macaroni and cheese. This is definitely how I like it. I like my macaroni and cheese very creamy. You can at this stage decide to put it in the oven just to get it a little bubbly, but I wouldn't do it too much because I definitely wanted to keep that creamy consistency. And there's nothing like the fresh stuff. It may not look like elbow macaroni, but trust me, it definitely tastes better than the box stuff. So there you have it, macaroni and cheese.
I don't want nobody to cry for me. Being here is really not alive to me. I see the time slipping by from me. I feel the eye of society. I see the world got their eye on me. I see the snakes gon' lie on me. I see him pull a 6ix9ine on me. Testify on me. Try to get the rest of my homies. Try to put me in the skybox, in the sky, homie. They say, why you alive, homie? Not the working 9 to 5.